You are here because the outside world rejects you. This is your family.
Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. This story once again showed people around the world that the Turtles are very versatile in the type of content that they come out in. Now, in my opinion, just like other massive properties like DC and Marvel, the Turtles have that same broad appeal. I feel like the Turtles can be made to please younger audiences with lighthearted content that everyone of all ages can enjoy, as well as tell those dark and gritty stories for the more mature audiences, and everything in between, the way that those other properties we spoke of do. And I mean, they're doing that to a degree, or else we wouldn't be sitting here talking about The Last Ronin and how amazing of a story that was. The thing is that they need to take it to the next level now. It can't be that just all the dark and gritty turtle stories are only in the comics. Don't get me wrong, the comics are great, but people want to see these stories in action on their screens. There's a hunger out there for this that's just palpable. You can feel it in the air, like a volcano building up with pressure, getting ready to explode, if the right steps are taken. And that's what brings us all together today for this video. Today, I want to go ahead and talk about some different strategies, different approaches that they should take to bring the TMNT epic, The Last Ronin, to life. But I get it, there's different ways you could take, different fears that some people might have making this, that would imagine that there's so many variables. So we'll try to address all that. But at the end of the day, like the title of this video says, there's no question in my mind that The Last Ronin needs a movie. Option number one. The first approach we have here is the dream scenario. This is the one I feel would absolutely excite fans to levels only seen before in the early 1990s. We love it! This approach is to do the Last Ronin movie in live action using the original 1990 Henson suits. And I mean, heck, if they're gonna go that far, might as well set it in the same universe as those movies. And you have to get the look right of the environment too. Those old movies have a certain look to them that isn't seen much in today's movies. Movies nowadays look super clean, everything is overlit, and you can see every nook and cranny in the environment that's on the screen. The reason those suits worked so well in that original movie is because, one, they were made by Jim Henson, but two, because of the way things are hidden in the shadows and the use of harsh lighting hitting the turtles. It was back when things were filmed on film, so everything has that gritty look to it. There's always fog that filled up the scenes, and there's the set dressing too, which was also so legit. Everything was super cluttered and lived in. It felt so real. Could you imagine the flashback sequences in The Last Ronin, and it shows the turtles living in this environment that fits seamlessly with the original movie, but with today's better ways of hiding some of the imperfections that were harder to deal with back in the early 90s. Oh man, give me that. That would be so awesome. Take my money now. I'll pay for a year's worth of Paramount Plus in advance if they could give us that. Now, those would just be the flashbacks in The Last Ronin. The future stuff would have to look like something out of Blade Runner, but with the turtles in it. It would have to have a very cyberpunk feel to it, which I feel like a lot of people are really into right now. Plus, with those giant screens that they use as backgrounds in The Mandalorian or The Batman, I'm sure it wouldn't be as expensive as they think. Could probably cut a lot of cost, eliminating the fear from like executives and stuff. Man, this option number one, the dream scenario, would be, in my opinion, the absolute best thing they could do. Just a one-off too, so if it doesn't get the traction they want, they can move on. But if it did blow up, which I think it would, they could do follow-ups and use whatever story they plan to tell with the upcoming TMNT The Last Ronin The Lost Year story as a blueprint to follow. But back to the main topic, live action, The Last Ronin movie set in the original 1990 Ninja Turtles movie universe using classic Henson suits, and they gotta look like the first movie. Not the Secret of the Ooze ones, where they look all happy, and definitely not the third movie suits. Good God. The first movie look is the way to go. But let's say this isn't the way they want to go. Huge mistake, by the way. Definitely go this way. But let's say they don't. Maybe the size of the budget for something like this scares them or something. Well, what would be another option? Let's go ahead and take a look at that, as I feel this would also be pretty successful. You ever log into HBO Max and see those DC animated movies? They're serious, they're dark, and for the most part, a lot of them are pretty good. I find myself coming back to those occasionally, and I think that's a pretty good sign. And that brings us to option number two. A Last Ronin animated film similar to the style that DC does their animated movies. Let it be dark, let it have all the moments that captivated people from the comic. Just leave it alone and make it faithful to the original material. If I had to guess, I would say that this is most likely the approach that they're gonna take if they do a Last Ronin movie. It's less expensive, it's less risky. Now with this option, I think the best way to do it would be to just drop it on their Paramount Plus app. It would definitely draw an audience. Now for those who don't know, it would most likely be Paramount Plus because Viacom owns both the Turtles Turtles and Paramount. So that's why most of the new Turtle stuff comes out on there. The Rise movie was an exception, as that, from what I remember, was part of an older deal that they had to fulfill with Netflix before Paramount Plus was up and running.
We live here now, on Mount Paramount. Isn't it glorious?
What are we supposed to do up here?
But yeah, now that Paramount Plus is rocking and rolling, I expect every new TMNT film, show, or documentary, whatever it may be, to come out on there for the foreseeable future. Just in case some of you guys are wondering why I'm specifically suggesting Paramount Plus. But yeah, I say do it 2D like the DC animated movies. That'd be cool. And like I always like to bring up, don't mess up the turtle designs. The turtles gotta look cool. It could be written on the level of The Godfather 2, but if the turtles look bad, it's gonna hurt the film and the promotion leading up to it. Trust. Now, with all that said, I still personally would prefer option number 1. I think animated would be cool. It would bring in an audience, but ain't no way an animated movie would make as big of a splash compared to if the turtle community found out that the Henson turtles would be returning. That would simply blow the roof off the place. Alright, so this is option number 3. It's not necessarily a third option, but more of a modification to options 1 and 2. I've noticed a lot of big streaming platforms like Disney+, HBO Max, and others have been doing more and more one-off miniseries like Obi-Wan and Andor, things like that. And I feel like regardless if they were to go live action or animated, if they were to do a Last Ronin film, this limited miniseries model may not be a bad option either. There's 5 issues in the Last Ronin comics. A 5-episode limited miniseries kind of makes sense. Give each issue its own time in the spotlight and really do them well, almost like 5 one-hour movies that come out in a span of 5 weeks. This would certainly bring in fans to their app and would allow the word of mouth time to spread. The hype would spread like wildfire. But yeah, that's it. That's my thoughts on a Ninja Turtles The Last Ronin movie. Should it happen? Absolutely. It's a no-brainer regardless of how they approach it. These were just some ideas that I've been thinking of that I thought were worth sharing. Let me know down below what you think. Do you think The Last Ronin should get a movie? Which option out of the ones we talked about here do you think would work best? Leave your thoughts down below. Thank you everybody for watching. Hit subscribe if you want more turtle news in your life. Follow on all the social medias. Links are down below in the description, and I will see you in a little bit with another video. Take care.